Today, Lindsey and I are sharing a very exciting podcast with you all, a personal interview between her and I, because we have some very exciting news, which is in 7 months, we're going to be bringing our first child into the world. We are officially expecting parents, and we are so grateful, so excited, not only for this opportunity to start our family, but also for the growth, the lessons, and everything that's going to come through this season. So we wanted to document where we're at right now. Still at the beginning of this journey, still figuring out what comes next. And we hope this might be valuable for someone who's watching this, who may be thinking of starting a family too, or for those of you who already have children, and you're much wiser than us, you can also impart your wisdom to us and let us know what we should be thinking about in this season and chapter of life. So on that note, Linz, how are you feeling? You're about 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
Yep, 9 weeks.
How are you feeling?
Today, I'm feeling good. Got a little olive in my belly. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling nauseous, but I am much better off than I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are in their first trimester. So I'm grateful every day that I am healthy, that I'm fit, and that I am listening to my body. It is good.
So you say we have a little olive.
We do have a little olive. That is the size of a little baby right now.
Lindsey has a tracker that she uses to track everything.
The Flow app.
And with that, it started as a sesame seed.
Little sesame seed.
And then it went to a blueberry. And then went to a kidney bean last week. And this week, it's an olive.
Yeah.
And we will be figuring out, it should be getting heartbeat. Like, it's kind of like that season. That
You should be able to pick up a heartbeat now.
That'll happen soon.
Hopefully next week.
Yeah, we're figuring out so many things.
So many new things. Lots to learn. Yeah, so you have some questions for me, and I have some questions for you.
Yes.
Do you want to rock, paper, scissors?
Yes. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes. Okay. I get to ask first.
Okay, go.
What was it like when you first found out?
Oh my goodness. When I first found out, it was like an adrenaline rush. It was like jumping. I've jumped out of an airplane, as have you. But it was like jumping out of an airplane. Literally felt like the same level of like breath being taken away and like excitement and, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? It was literally like an adrenaline rush.
We had been in Austin, Texas for one of our retreats. We're hosting that retreat, and a lot of it is around goal setting and self-leadership and continuing to work towards the things you want in your life. And one of the things you brought up is how you have this vision of having a baby. And you hadn't had your period for 2 to 3 weeks. I think it was like something like that.
While we were at the retreat?
Yeah.
No,
like,
I was supposed
you were a little late.
I was a few days late.
Okay, a few days late.
Yeah.
And then when we got back, first day we get back to our house, that's when you tested.
Yeah, because I thought that it was just the stress of travel that delayed it. So I was like, meh, it could be, but probably not. However, I did have some really weird symptoms that I don't normally have, like if my period is a little bit late. So I was like, wow, could be like, but I was very much like trying to make sure I wasn't getting too excited. So I just wasn't really thinking about it too much, because that would be 5 months of trying, if you will. But I wasn't totally convinced. So finding out was very exciting. And hence I took 3 tests to make sure that it was accurate.
It is the worst. I mean, I'm laying there in bed.
No.
We just taken a long trip, long travel, and I was going to get up at like 6:45 or whatever, and it's like 6 a.m. And Lynn's like, Brian, you got to get out of bed. I'm like, why do I got to get out of bed? She's like, no, you got to get up. I'm like, oh, really? Do I got to get up? But you can hear it on the video. It's like, do I have to get up? You're like, yeah, you got it. I was like, oh, okay, I understand. And like I said, no one else heard this, but I was like, I'm not going to start sacrificing my sleep already for this.
Oh, is that what you said?
I said, I'm going to be sacrificing my sleep 9 months from now for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I'm not starting today.
So that was my first question for you. What was your first real thought when you found out I was pregnant? Because there was probably like sleepy thoughts.
No. The first real thoughts were just excitement and gratitude, with our bodybuilding background and your hormonal background and just with the people that we work with on a daily basis, you hear, people who struggle with having kids. So the fact that we got a check mark that we could do it, I was like, oh, fantastic. That, if anything, it wasn't even excitement. It was relief. I found a sense of relief, like, okay.
Like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, we could do this. Like, that gives us even if, anything negative happened, miscarriage or anything like that, hey, at least we know that we're healthy enough to get pregnant. And that's actually why we wanted to start having kids, because you're 30. Be 31 in 2 weeks, but you're 30. So, hey, that gives us a good amount of time to be flexible. And, if our goal is to have 3 kids, then we can be flexible with 4. She wants 4. Okay. Mark them. But if that's the goal, then we can plan for that accordingly. So that was my first thing. It's like, okay, awesome. Very
awesome.
relieving, right?
Great.
Well, because,
no, that's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first feeling, the first thought. It wasn't excitement of like, oh my God, or it wasn't fear of like, oh, we're having a kid. The first thing was,
that's
okay,
good.
That's relieving.
That makes sense. Especially because, your testosterone background too, or your thyroid health, it was like everything.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not in control of any of this. Like, I'm in control of the most important part.
Your part.
But it's like, I didn't feel any changes. I didn't feel any physiological difference. I was just like, oh, that's really positive news.
Yeah. It also kind of took you a second to realize, like, this is real. Right? Like you said, it didn't really hit you. Like, it hit you a couple times.
Yeah. I think it really started to hit me when I went to Aaron's bachelor party, your brother's bachelor party. I was the only one there of these group of, 12 guys who's getting ready to have kids or will have kids. And then there was a moment where I started thinking about, okay, well, like, if we were out late at night, even though I wasn't belligerent or drinking a lot, it's like, well, I don't want to be out late at night because nothing good happens at 2 a.m. So that's like, I almost like started to feel a sense of responsibility to make sure that I am taking care of myself and that I'm safe. And then the other piece of it was just starting to see little things of like, oh yeah, like in 9 months, we're going to have a kid. And it's going to look like this, and that's going to be this. There was a moment when we were in Scottsdale. There was this big crafts fair, and I was thinking of getting you a gift, and I couldn't really find anything that looked like something that Lindsey would wear or want. And I saw this onesie, and I was like, oh, that would be really cool to get a onesie for our baby. And I was like, oh crap! I am going to be shopping for baby things. I'm going to be having a baby. I could be walking around this place in a year and there'll be a baby.
There'll be a baby.
So that was when I was like, oh wow. This is real. And then inch by inch it's become, moment by moment it's become a little more real each time.
Yeah, otherwise it's just watching your wife take lots of naps.
And now I'm not taking them with you, so I'd be a little envious. I'd be a little envious,
Yeah, you're also you can't be eating too much ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy thing. I'm not too worried about that. One of my friends called me the first time. He said, dude, you're going to put on so much weight. I was like, I don't think you know who you're talking to.
Yeah, I like it's not even a warning. Like, hey, look out. It was just like, you're going to get fat. Watch out. It's like, okay.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate the call.
If somebody called me and said, you're going to get really fat, I'd be like, bye. Like, never talk to me again.
Yeah, different friends.
Different friends. Okay.
What were you nervous about before you got pregnant when you thought of starting a family? So, like, you, obviously, the nervousness of, like, will my body get pregnant? I understand those fears. But a lot of people have the fear of everything else that stops them from even wanting to move in that direction. So what were some of your fears or worries?
Yeah, people are usually afraid of the financial responsibility. They're afraid of losing their freedom. They're afraid of losing maybe their relationship with their partner or whatever, like the dynamic that exists. I feel like I haven't been afraid of those things for a really long time. I'm trying to remember when was I actually afraid of losing myself, losing my freedom. Because it must have been like at least 2 years ago. Because at first, like, I wasn't afraid of starting a family, but I was intentionally not desiring it because we had just gotten married. And I was like, I want to have like 2 to 3 years of just us, even though we had been together for 10 years. So it wasn't like I was afraid, but it was a conscious choice to not have a family yet. And I knew that we had time and it would come. I think that my fear of losing myself didn't resurface, because that was a fear in the past. Like, what if I lose myself and my kids become my whole world? And a parent might hear that and be like, well, they are your whole world. But this is my fear. I'm allowed to have that fear. But my fear was losing myself in the past, like losing my dreams or losing my ambition or losing my way. And then that was overtaken by the desire to have a family. The clear, innate purpose of being a mother, having children was like in my soul. But then that fear didn't resurface until like a week ago. And like a week ago, I had this fear surface of, well, what if I'm going to let the team down? Or what if the business falls apart because I'm not a part of it? Or what if I never speak on a stage again? Or I don't want to write a book anymore? Or like all those types of fears of losing myself came back after I was already 2 months pregnant. Because I think the adrenaline wore off. And then I started thinking like,
the symptoms started to come.
And then the symptoms started to come, which are not that bad, but they're still very exhausting at times. So that's what I would say. Those were my fears. I'm not afraid of losing my independence or my freedom because I have so many great examples, especially my mom, who has been so confident in saying like, your kids just go with you. Like you don't need to give up anything for your kids. Like they just bring them with you. And just the way that she says it, like so nonchalant, so confident, like, yeah, you got a baby bouncing on your hip, but like, you're still going to do what you want. And her confidence, I think, has eliminated that fear for me. Because, yeah, I do love to travel. I do love to adventure. And at first it felt like I wasn't going to be able to do that anymore. But since receiving that feedback from my mom like a year ago, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like I get to decide. I get to choose how I do this. So it'll obviously be a whirlwind, but
and one thing I think about is what's the upside
to having children.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I focus on because it's like, yeah, I can easily go, oh, it's this, it's that, and the other thing is like, what's the upside of this? I think that not a lot of people see the upside because my current understanding of where I'm at without having children is that it's just like a lot of energy at first. It is because you got to keep a lot of energy. You got to keep this thing alive.
Yeah, you got to birth it and then you got to keep it.
But then it's like it's kind of like anything else. Once the snowball starts moving, there's a lot more you gained from the experience. I think of everyone who is alive has been a baby.
That has been the most mind-blowing. Like, every single time I'm like, everybody has done this before.
Yes.
Or everybody's been birthed.
You're not unique.
This is crazy. I'm not a special snowflake.
You're not a special snowflake. And it's like, if you think of your childhood and you had a good experience, then wouldn't it make sense that would be what your kids would experience, right? Like, I think of, like, and obviously if you didn't have that, that's a totally different conversation. And then you might want to say, well, what would I want to do differently? And obviously there's a lot of things I want to do differently too. But it's like my parents, like, the most important thing in my household was there's a lot of love. And I think that's incredible. Like, that's what I want. That's the most important thing. So, it might make it harder for you to do this. Well, I got to do that anyways because of my responsibility. It's financial. I just have a different story about that.
Yeah.
What is
your story?
There's the story and then there's the reality. So I'm always mindful of what beliefs I hold on to and how they make me feel. But I think one of the most limiting beliefs that people have about kids is they're so expensive. And I understand that logically, but then I think, well, what are you comparing to? I think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I want to be able to put my kids through college and I want to be able to give them all these things that I didn't have. And then when I talked to some people who I have that are referenced, like, kids just need food, shelter, clothing, and to be safe. And there's people who are not in America, who don't have our means, who have plenty of children and they are happy as can be. And we in America think, oh, we got to give our kids all this stuff. It's like, maybe it's going to fuel you to go to the next level and grow, but that shouldn't stop you. And that's what I think is like, that's a very limiting belief because keeps you from taking action. I would rather figure it out for myself.
Yeah. I also think that it's just at some level, in my mind, this is just my belief system, is it's just a math equation. Like when people really are like, I don't know financially if we can have a kid, it's like, well, do you have insurance? Do you have friends and family who have had kids? Do you have a thrift store? Like there is so many things that like you don't need. And that's one thing I appreciate about the friendships that we have is like a lot of people have told us there's like 100 things you could put on a registry that you literally don't need.
Well, it's like the same guy who called me and said I was going to get fat. He's like, Brian, do not buy them any clothes because they're going to go out of them like that.
Yeah.
So, and it's not, and so I'm very mindful. It's not coming from this position of like, oh, well, it's not going to cost you money. It's going to cost you money. But the belief, like the fear.
Yeah, the fear, it's different. Like, yeah, you don't have to be afraid of it. You can be consciously aware that you're going to have to invest in having a child.
But what's the upside?
What's the upside?
What's the upside? What's the
Yes.
upside? I tell people my belief is that the upside of children is a life full of people that you're always going to have love and connection with. I have a great relation with my grandparents. That I only am here because of them, right? It's like, you know, in my world, what I want is I want a massive life of success and impact, but I also want to get to the end of my life and have a family that's abundant that comes to my house for Thanksgiving or Christmas. I want to have, you know, a dozen grandkids. I want to have a family that's tight and well bound together.
Connected.
Yeah, so the upside is much greater than any of the fear and the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what's something about becoming a dad that you haven't shared yet or are still processing?
How I will be perceived. How
As a dad?
I mean, it will be interesting how I'll be perceived from other parents who it will be interesting to figure out the balance of pushing my child and loving my child no matter what, and what standards I expect and what standards I want them to learn how to uphold, and the way they show up. So that's one thing that I'm excited about, is to take all the things that I am and all the passion, all the energy and all the skills and all the knowledge and give them those opportunities without projecting too much of what they need to be in order for them to find happiness. Mm-hmm. So I'm very self-aware of, you know,
the desire to project?
Well, I want our kids to have work ethic and character and discipline and absolute belief that they can accomplish anything. And I want them to go out and be great. And I don't know what that's going to mean. I don't know what that's going to look like. The most important thing is that they are healthy and safe and they make good decisions. Period. So that's like the thing that I think about. And then if our kids are gung-ho and all in on like doing the thing, then how am I going to be perceived by parents when I show up to help my kids succeed? Because I just remember my childhood and I was a really passionate kid and my parents weren't like over the top passionate. They didn't like push me. My dad wasn't an asshole, like, but parents didn't like me. They had a problem with me as a child because I was this like really intense athlete as a young man, and my parents had ended up standing up for me against other parents. So that dynamic will be fascinating. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's the balance of how do I help you be successful and give you enough space to figure out your way and help you figure out your way. And then how do I balance being present and accomplishing my goals? Mm-hmm. Like, what's that balance going to look like? What's the fine line that you can walk? Right. What are the things you're going to not be there for? And what are the things you're going to be there for? And how do you make sure that your kids don't feel any different?
Those are good questions.
So it's a how do I do this? Because I don't want to be a FaceTime dad.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would ever happen, but that's one of the things.
It's certainly, you could have experiences like that. Not that that would be your identity. But
I want to make sure that will be in the times, like figuring out that balance of, hey, how do you continue to grow and have ambition and continue to focus on this?
Yeah. It'll definitely be determined by how the next 5 years go of our lives.
Yeah.
Well, it won't be determined by that, but that will be very telling the next 5 years.
I don't think it's my responsibility to make my kids my life. I think it's my responsibility to make sure they're healthy, successful, and happy. Or not even happy, because I can't control that. Loved. And I don't think that you need to be there 24/7 for that. I think you need to make sure that you know when it's time to show up. And and I don't have an answer for any of that.
Yeah. But those still processing.
Yeah, those are the things I think about. Like, okay, if I personally, at this current moment, I refuse to let it slow me down. If anything, I want it to be the accelerator of, I need to continue to focus on this, not because I'm having kids, but because that's a sign that I am getting older. And if you have ambition, it's like, are your actions in alignment with your ambition? Those are the things that I'm thinking about.
That's great.
My question for you is, what are you the most excited about?
In general?
Yeah. I mean, this stuff is exciting, all the stuff that's been happening, the things that are happening, but what are you the most excited about when you think of actually having a baby? First year, 2 years, 3 years?
I'm most excited to experience a new level of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Just a new level of how much love I can hold. There's been certain experiences, one of them being when we did the kids camp for the foster kids, how much my heart expanded because I felt like I loved 30 little ones that were the campers. And by the end of the week, I actually loved them. I felt loved for them. So to have my own child that came from my body and your body and is us in a human, I'm like, I can't even imagine how your heart explodes. That's just going to be so overwhelming and wonderful. It's going to feel like bliss. So I'm very excited to experience that. And then I think I'm also very excited for the cocoon phase, as odd as that sounds. But the cocoon phase of postpartum, I have a very intentional plan of...
Well, it'll be perfect timing.
Yeah, it will, because it will be November, and then it's holidays, and you kind of chill out then anyway. But yeah, that little 6 to 8 week period where I'm just going to be laying in bed with our baby, and we're going to have lots of people helping us out and bringing me food and taking care of me, and I'm taking care of the baby and you. I'm very excited for that phase of just being allowed to just be, and not have to be anywhere or do anything and just be there.
Amen.
I'm excited for that. And then, of course, all the things to come, but it's kind of sequenced in my mind. I'm also very excited, short term, to hear our little baby's heartbeat.
Yeah. Well.
And find out if it's a boy or a girl, all the fun things.
Yeah.
All the fun things with you.
What I'm the most excited about is the adventure. So when I think of the adventure of taking our kids to amusement parks, when they're little kids, up in New Hampshire, we have this place called Storyland, and it's all the fairy tale. It's like Disneyland, but it's for old school, what's it, nursery rhymes. Almost.
Nursery, yeah. Stories.
Nursery rhymes, stories, and
I've never realized that until right now.
Yeah, and so it's not Disneyland because Disney's its own characters. These are all nursery rhymes, and it's a little amusement park that's great for little kids.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 years.
Going with your parents and going with my parents, they're healthy enough. All those things are the things I'm excited about. And then my brother's got 2 kids, and being able to have cousins and the whole thing, that's going to be a lot of fun. So I think that's the adventure that I'm excited about. I'm
definitely excited about seeing my family and your family. I had a vision the other day of us just passing around the kid, and I'm choosing to be at this moment unattached and very trusting of our family. There's some people who are no, I have to hold the baby. I'm in my head already picturing Erin being hey, let me take her or him, and our sister-in-law Christine being the obsessed auntie and just wanting to hold the baby all the time, and just passing him around the table or her around the table. And that I'm excited to see that, because everybody's just going to be la la la, having so much fun. So I think that'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have 2 good ones. I'll ask you both of them. You can pick which one. So where do you think we'll be tested is one question. And then, or you can answer, where do you think I might struggle, and how would you handle that?
Well, the first where we'll be tested is in, it's going to just be balancing business. It's going to be the evolution of business, because up to this point, business has been heavily dependent on us. So we need to get more leverage. We need to continue to grow.
Yep.
And we need to continue to refine our mission, our message, and who we serve. So I think that's going to be the thing that has to happen. And it will happen. It is happening. That's what we're continuing to do.
Yeah.
But the next level of that, to make sure that we have a consistent machine where our employees and team can step up and fill that role, and attracting solid A players to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the test, because everything else is going to I think it's going to be easy. I think that it's going to be easy.
Meaning we can do it.
Yeah, it'll be challenging, but we got a great support system and we get each other. We have a great relationship, so I don't think that's going to be the friction point. It's going to be.
It's definitely going to be business.
It's going to be business impacting family.
Yeah.
Right. That will be the thing.
And vice versa.
And then what other future ambitions hold, and how does that change our dynamics of what we're doing, and really, how do we build a badass family? How do we be strong as a unit? I think that as time goes on, as we evolve, it will be really critical that we have a strong unit and we teach our kids how to be strong with us.
Yeah, they got to have each other's back.
In order for you to grow and be successful, you have to make sure you have a strong base
unit.
somewhere.
Very true.
Where will you?
Yeah, where do you think I might struggle, and how would you support or handle it?
I think that you will struggle with asking for help.
I'm already practicing, getting better at it.
Yeah, I think you'll struggle with modulating to what you can do and knowing that it's okay to ask for help. But I think it'll just be communication. And I think that the more that we work on our communication, the easier that becomes. And then just being able to read the nonverbal cues. And just me doing things more thoughtfully as well. And I think that your love language will consistently become acts of service.
That would be interesting.
Because you'll want this done, and you want this done, and you wouldn't do it yourself. So I think that would be key.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I would expect that my love language would still be words of affirmation. Or it would become words of affirmation or physical touch. People think I want to be touched, like taking care of all the stuff.
There you go. My last question is, if you watch this back 10 years from now, what would make you feel proud of this moment? What would you want to remember? What would you want to share? How would you want to think about this moment?
Yeah, I will be 40. New decade, looking back. What would make me proud? I would be really proud if I trusted the process. Like if I just was like totally full of faith and consciously choosing to allow the process to unfold. A process of having a family, of having children, of just trusting that if you just love with all of your heart and you communicate and you allow other people to support you, then you're going to have a beautiful family dynamic. You're going to grow immensely. And all of the impact you have on the world, or the ability to contribute, is going to blossom because of this time that you gave yourself, or this time that you gave your family. I think I would be very proud if I heard that back and felt like I did that. Like I trusted that 3 to 5 years, it's okay to pour into your family, and then you'll be back, or you'll go back and have new things to share with the world. I think I would be proud of that.
That's beautiful. What do I want to know? What do I want to hear? 10 years from now, what would make me feel proud? What would make me feel proud? It's kind of like, what advice would you give yourself 10 years from now?
Yeah, but I like the pride, because that's a little different.
I think I'd be really proud of myself for getting it done. Building a team, stepping up, making this mission come to life.
I'd be proud of you too.
And then seeing our kids start to flourish, because at that time they'll start to flourish. They'll start to have their own identity. They'll start to have their own ambition, and seeing them take that to their own next level, and seeing them start to figure out their passions. I mean, we have music down, we have athletics down, we have history and politics and intellectual lessons that we get to share, faith. So we have all these different categories that they can go in. I just am excited to see where we get to play a part, and then also where they get to take the next, the torch to the next point. When I started playing guitar, my dad was a great guitarist, and he gave me, he's like, here's a chord book, go learn these, and here's a song, and go learn the song. And then he would be there if I was like, hey, I can't figure this out, but it was me. He's like, just kind of gave me the push, and then I learned it on my own. I taught myself how to play guitar, and I interviewed him on a podcast years ago, and he's like, yeah, you just surpassed me. Like, the things that I couldn't do, you did so easily, and so I didn't really feel like I had to keep showing up. And supporting you in that way, like, I was still supportive, but, like, you got it. And that's what it will end up being in 10 years, is like, hey, if you've done your part, and you're blessed, and everything works out, then not only should your business be successful, not only your career successful, not only making an impact, but your kids are starting to flourish, too.
Yeah.
I think that would be exciting.
It'd be very enriching.
Yeah. And just being able to, I think what would also make me proud is if I enjoy the ride. And that's what my older mentor and one of my best friends tells me, is just enjoy it, because it's going to go by fast. 10 years will be here soon. And it's important that you don't rush things. Like, I'm very much not rushing right now. I'm like, hey, the three of us, I don't know if anyone can see Alfie.
He's hanging out.
Dog's hanging out here. It's just the three of us right now. It's like it's the last time. Like, we're sitting there on the couch the other day, and I was like, this is the last time we're going to be sitting down on the couch with each other.
Yep.
For, and like, we got like another 6 months of this, and then we got like another 20 years of not doing that. So we should enjoy this. And that's, I think, the most important piece.
Definitely. Very good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Anything else I'd like to share? No, I love you.
I love you too.
It's going to be fun.
And I'd like to keep sharing. I think I want to do one of these like every trimester.
So if you would love to hear more, love to hear this again, let us know in the comment section. If there's anything else you'd love to hear, comments-wise, let us know below. Alfie wants to be a part of this. Alfie, come on. You want to be a part? Come on. Get up here. Come on. I know that people won't be able to see you, but that's okay. Well, they won't be able to make eye contact with you, but they get the point. So on that note, we hope you have a wonderful day. Let us know what your thoughts are, questions are in the comment section below. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, and we hope that you go out and conquer your day.
Cheers.
Cheers.